conceptualization and operationalization. Let's have a look at conceptualization first, so it's easy for us to understand what operationalization is about. Let's take the same example here as usual. Diabetes, that's the DV, that's the problem, that's the dependent variable. And if you are diabetic, what you do, you go to literature back and forth and you develop the factors that influence diabetes. You find out whether is it exercise, food, stress level, or some other different factors, and you develop your conceptual framework. Now, the process of developing this conceptual framework and developing the conceptual framework is what we call conceptualization. Let's have a look at operationalization. First, let's have the same conceptual framework. Diabetes is the DV, exercise and the food are the IVs. And now we have to study whether exercise is connected to diabetes of this particular patient and food is connected to his diabetes as well. So to do this, we have to measure all these three factors, both the IVs and the DV. Now to measure this, we don't have any scales to measure exercise, food or diabetes straight away. So we have to use some indicators that we have already learned. Now exercise can be indicated by distance ran, distance walked. The food can be indicated by the amount of carbohydrate consumed, amount of protein consumed. And diabetes can be indicated by the glucose that you have in your blood. So based on these indicators, we can measure the IVs and the DVs. After developing indicators, we have to develop some scale to measure these indicators. So to measure distance walked and distance ran, we can use the meter scale. So in this screen you can see 500 to 1000 meters, 1001 to 1500 meters and so on. And your amount of carbohydrate consumed, you can use a scale that may be very low consumption, very high consumption on the Likert scale. And on the other side, glucose in your blood can be measured using the milligram scale, 75 to 100, 101 to 125, and so on. So we are developing scales as well. Now, to do these indicators, or to develop these indicators based on the conceptual framework and developing a scale to measure these indicators, we have to get use of the literature review as well. Right, what is operationalization then? It is a process that states exactly the procedure or the operation that the researcher used to measure all the factors, IVs and the DVs, using indicators and their scales. That is operationalization. Operationalization table, your university or your supervisor may want you to show the operationalization procedure in a table like this that appears on the screen now. In the same example, exercise and the food are the IVs and the diabetes is the DV, that is on the first column. And after that, we have the indicators against each of these factors that will measure the IVs and the DVs respectively. And we have given the source of this. Let's say if you develop an indicator, distance walked, to measure exercise, you have to have a source for this. Literature should confirm that the distance walked will measure the exercise that you have done. So we have to give the citation of all of those, and after that the scale. How are you going to measure the distance walked, distance ran? We have given the meter scale for it. And food, how are you going to measure very low, very high, which is the Likert scale. And after that, finally, diabetes, we measure the glucose in your sugar, that is in microgram or milligram scale. So this is your operationalization table. One of these tables should be given in your proposal as well as the report. Now here it is, the data collection instrument of the questionnaire. First independent variable is the food, so amount of protein consumed, that is the first question. Amount of carbohydrate consumed, that is the second question for that. And this is measured in terms of Likert scale, very low, low, moderate, high and very high. So they can mark one of those answers. The second independent variable is exercise, so distance walked is the first question. Distance ran is the second question, and the measures is 500 to 1000 meter, 1001 to 1500 meters and so on. So they can pick one of those options. The dependent variable is diabetes, and it is indicated by the glucose in blood, and that is measured by 75 to 100 mg, 101 to 125 mg, and so on. And your participants will pick one of those. So we have developed this data collection instrument based on the conceptualization table we developed before.